At long last, we have returned. Signum Academy background is there. There it is. Whew. And I am Wesley Shantz. Welcome to Signum Academy on Twitch and anywhere else that this might be streaming or restreaming. We're midway through January, and today we are going to fly through a good middle third of Mother 3. I have been walking us through pretty slowly the past few times. Some major transitions within the game, going from that introductory section to allowing whatever it is that happened to this world of Tasmili and the surroundings to totally change everything, and then starting to explore that last time. Now we are in the midst of the game. We've just tackled Thunder Tower, and we've got a pretty interesting transition here into the next section, the 7 Needles. So let's take a look. I think this is working correctly. Oh, but I don't want this video just yet. I want the tail end of this video to happen, because we were last just falling off the just falling off the airship. Okay, here we go. Sorry if this is going to be super loud. Oh, it's not too loud. The rope snake, our faithful companion, has some good news for him, bad news for us. His good news is that he's a major character in the story, and that's thanks to you. Bad news for you, his jaw is not sturdy enough to support, and I don't know how he's talking here unless he's opening and closing his jaw, but literally jaw dropping. And so down we go. Well, no one could survive that. The masked man watches us go, shows no remorse. Roll along. So I don't want to call it roll credits because it's not that. It's the chapter transition here. We have seen this kind of text loop by us a few times throughout the story, and in different ways. Right now, it's giving us some of that motivation that we need. Even if there is only a 1 in a billion chance of victory, that means there's also a 1 in a billion opportunity of turning the tables completely. We are in that zone of heroic miracle at this moment. We have raised the stakes to a 1 in a billion chance, and if something can happen at that level, then really anything can happen. Seems to be the gist of this. You might be thinking of a a fantasy story like the one that comes to mind for me. I know it's a little bit goofy. There's the Terry Pratchett series of Discworld, and an early book within that series, Terry Pratchett plays and makes fun of this idea to no end. The heroes are actively trying to reduce the chances that they can make the shot with an arrow against the dragon so as to better fit the bill for a fantasy story. And of course, they're making fun of that that moment in The Hobbit when Bard takes the black arrow and hits the dragon in the one chink in the armor and Smaug goes down. Sorry to ruin The Hobbit. And I guess the Terry Pratchett book is called Guards there. I ruined that one too. Sunflower Fields, Chapter 6. Totally different vibe here. From that hectic action sequence with the rope snake making bad puns to the motivational text, now we are in pure, peaceful, calm, looking around, wondering. Clouds are kind of swaying in the background. Now we know who loves sunflowers. We know the answer to this question, but the game's gonna just supply it in case we've forgotten. It's possible that it's been a while since we played. Who loves sunflowers but Lucas and Klaus's dear mom, Hinawa? So we are definitely in miracle territory here. Something mysterious is about to happen. For one thing, we're about to reconnect with Boney, the dog. There he is. He's whining a little bit. Let's move on. And there she is. The ghost or vision or spirit, memory of Lucas's mother, hovering there on a cloud. This echoes a couple of important beats in other stories. You could think of Pink Cloud in Mother 2 in the original EarthBound. We have similar cliffside adventures, but when Lucas jumps there and makes that leap off the cliff strongly echoes a moment in Final Fantasy VI, widely considered one of the great games of the Super NES era. And here they are, jumping off the cliff and landing in a haystack. So we got that miracle we were looking for. Oh dear, I don't want to play that. No, please don't play that. No, please don't play that. I don't want to play the Fields of Time. I'm sure it's a lovely piece of music, but I had it all queued up, YouTube, and you messed me up. I had it all queued up to go straight to what I wanted. The second part of this video. All right. In the second part of this video, we pick up with Chapter 7, The Seven Needles. And that jazzy vamp should make us remember the likes of the Magypsies. Here we go. So we're back at the castle once more. There's an important key item there that Duster was unable to recognize, proving that he's no great thief after all. At least he doesn't seem hurt. All right, so let's wake up already. We're back in the old folks' home. We survived the fall. Boney is gonna run off. Let's catch up to him. One of the Magypsies is turned up on the bridge. And again, there's a kind of ambiguity about the Magypsies. Are they young? Are they old? Are they male? Are they female? We're gonna have the Magypsy join our party for a little bit. There's something very strange going on when these powerful beings are reduced to joining the likes of us. But let's go. Here we go. So there's a way up the river. We're gonna take a boat ride. Here, let's zip along. All right. Let's check in with Aeolia. Crossing and recrossing their legs. Pretty sure they use female pronouns, so let's just say her legs. They're worried about each other. They're all feeling some sort of disturbance in the force, if you like. There's a strange urgency to this game, which has meandered and moved along at such a strangely up and down pace throughout this game so far. Now we know where we are, in a sense. The games up to this point have all been about going and finding a series of melodies. I'll just turn down the jazz vamp a little bit here for you. Now we are going to do a similar kind of quest. And in a way, the game is finally just getting going. Now you'll notice we've lost our party members again, but that's okay. That's temporary. And after all, we've got Ionia on our team, so let's move along. We're going to infiltrate the castle once again by a back way. Down in the catacombs, we've got to go and deal with a few mummified cats and whatnot. But that's minor details. And that mysterious item, sure enough, has gone missing. The needle has been pulled. The dark dragon's heart will become as light or as dark as the person who pulls the needle. So this is that mysterious change that has come about. One of the needles has been pulled. And what happens when a needle gets pulled is that a Magypsy connected with it is going to vanish, disappear. Now this is crucial because, as she says, the way that the needles get pulled is the essential thing. It's fate that they should be taken. But what matters is the heart of the person who takes them. So we get this lore dropped on us finally. What is going on with these Magypsies and their island? All right. I'm not gonna read it all to you, but let me see if there's anyone in the chat. No, we're down in the chat if you'd like to drop any thoughts off in there. The long and short of it is that we've got a sleeping dragon of unlimited power, let's say, limitless power. And this dragon is bound and sleeping because of the power of needles, like an acupuncture kind of deal. The Magypsies are connected to the needles. And when the dragon wakes, this world will come to an end. There, again, is no doubt that the dragon will wake. All that matters is the heart of the one who wakes it. If a person with a heart of good pulls the dragon needles and uses the power, the fate of all evil will be washed away. Life as we know it will shine brightly. That is what is told. Listen to this, but don't worry. When each of our needles is pulled, we Magypsies will cease to be. Our millennia-long lives over. Isn't that just romantic of us? Again, they have no fear of death. They are immortal in a sense, with this one pretty significant exception of when the needle gets pulled. So again, we're in a world that is not that different from the sort of world that Tolkien depicts in Middle-earth. It's a world which is inevitably going to come to some sort of crisis at some point. And when it does, good will triumph, again, depending on the way that the person involved has lived. It's pretty heavy all of a sudden here. This is another side of the castle that we have not seen. Alright, the cell phone ringing. They need a monkey to open the next needle. So he's telling us where to go to get to the Chimera factory. Again, mistaking Lucas for Klaus. So Ionia disappears. We can skip ahead a bit. I'm going to zip us along. Checking in on Hinawa's grave, seeing if Flint's around. Well, it sounds like he might be out looking for Klaus again. Another memory. Just reminding us how to get to the Chimera factory in case we've forgotten. And we can zip along. Just checking at home. Some cool stuff down at the beach. And here we go. Picking up some items that were unreachable before. Sounds like the Mr. Saturns are in this game. We saw some of their font just there. Okay, finally we're gonna hop on the train and head on over to the Chimera factory. No, the ropeway is not what we want. We want the factory. This is where all the chimeras are made, those creations that mingle parts of animals and technology. So, the next needle's behind this door, but we need a dancing monkey to open the door. Or anyhow, someone who can dance. Something strange going on in this factory. Pretty unpleasant to look at, and pretty scary actually. Looks like we're going to do a little bit of exploring and leveling up. The factory is really one of the creepier parts of this game, and one that I think Undertale and Deltarune pick up on pretty heavily with the kind of horror elements of those games. With the exception maybe of some of the boss battles. This is some of the scariest stuff in the entire series. It's not my thing. I don't want to dwell on this part of the game. The picture of Mount Fuji with the rocket that landed in it, so wonderful. About to have a boss battle down here. Oh, not yet. After the monkeys get out. Alright, there we go. The mecha lion, we gotta take it out. And this mechanical lion will later become just a regular enemy, but for now it's pretty serious. Another chimera apparently has escaped, and if you see it, you have to run. There's no way to take this red chimera in a battle directly. And so again, the game becomes a kind of horror game for a little bit here. All that we hear is the sound of the pig masks, terrified. And an old man in the sauna for no apparent reason. I'm not sure if he is supposed to be a reference to somebody, possibly Itoi himself. Let's look again at his nostrils. No, he has normal sized nose. It's probably not Itoi. There was the red chimera we have to run from. Again, there's Dr. Ann Donuts, so a call back to the previous game there. And let's see if we can find those monkeys. There they are. So, looks like all is lost. Fighting an invincible opponent. We've been here before. Dr. Ann Donuts tells us there's a weakness. And that weakness depends on hitting the off switch on his battery pack. The monkey remembers us saving the day before. Use the dog as bait. And we push the button. Phew, that was a close one. So a rescue at the last moment. Another another miracle, another very small chance of good overcoming evil, or anyway, if not evil, then someone who's being turned to evil uses. A low percentage chance, maybe not 1 in a billion, but certainly pretty low. And an example again of the small and weak overcoming the large and the strong. There's some powerful indicators here that we are on the right track. Despite the fact that we didn't pull that first needle, we are, in some sense, going about it the right way. We're in harmony with the kind of universe that we are brought up to believe in by the likes of Tolkien. But the Chimera gets turned back on. Look out. All right, so the monkeys are ready to take us over to the dancing wall. Time for a little dancing. Go ahead, salsa. And so it opens and closes again. This is one of the sillier parts of the game. Oh, Kumatora's here. Landed in that water out there, that well. And here's our next Magypsy, Doria. All the Magypsies have names that refer to musical modes. So they're musical in a way, but they're not melodies, they're modes. They aren't used too much in Western music now. However, historically speaking and music theory speaking, there's something kind of interesting going on here with these different modes. There's a kind of, again, harmony to the universe seems to be the message. And we can understand that harmony to an extent, although maybe it goes beyond our ability to fully explain. We can sort of feel it, we can dance to it, we can move to it. So they're going to find a chimera that can move the water from one side to the other. This is a kind of funny little mini game. And once we do, we take care of that second needle, and then a new pathway opens up here. A big maze following the mole crickets. We're going to zip along now. The third needle is up on top of the mountain. And it looks like, again, we are too late. It gets pulled before we get there by our doppelganger and nemesis, the masked man. Flew to the top, didn't have to go through a long maze and climb a snowy mountain. Instead of fighting him directly, though, he sicks the abominable snow yeti on us. So there's our boss battle for this needle. The steel mech gorilla. Kind of a tough battle if you're not ready. But then we swoop on down the mountain. Return to Tasmili. Not sure what they're doing in the forest, other than learning lots of psi abilities. Yeah, really not sure what's going on at this part. Fighting a bunch of little tiny guys. Must be a little secret here. Alright. Back to the Chimera factory once more. Get some good items. Stop it. Alright. Now we're making our moves to Mr. Saturn's messages and another secret passageway opening up. That's going to take us to Saturn Valley on the coffee table. Saturns love their tea and coffee breaks. Now, besides including a favorite from a previous game This stop by in Saturn Valley seems a little bit out of place. Saturn Valley is no longer in the same location as before. It's in front of a fiery volcano mountain. So the surroundings have changed. But I think we can see a kind of logic to this, if you want to call it logic, in a game where there's farts inside of gift boxes for treasures. The game is having us go through a kind of recognizable process of visiting different locations throughout a world. So we've done the castle, we did the snowy mountain, now we have the fiery volcano full of lava. Recovering our teammates by defeating these gnarly little pig masks and their scare bots, rescuing them, and the innocent Mr. Saturns. We zip along then with our party back at full strength, and with the help of the Mr. Saturns, we can make our way up to the fire spring. The boulder won't budge at all. So little puzzle here to make our way in. Fire type enemies. There's a kind of elemental quality here. Again, like the musical modes of the Aeolian, Ionian, Dorian, Phrygian. The idea of physical elements or material elements being the basis for all matter, fire, water, earth, and air. This is an old idea, one that's baked into a lot of these games. So Facade has had a makeover, they say, since we last battled him and sent him packing when we fought him with the help of our Drago friend. And this is one of the tougher sections of the game when we take on Facade here. Upgraded. He can use fleas on us. He can hit us hard with regular attacks and with bombs. He is susceptible to lightning, so if lightning is hitting him, battle might not be too hard. What does he do? He smiles boldly at you. He sometimes can heal himself, but again, our player here is way overpowered and makes short work of him. He communicates by blowing music through his horns and has this translator to tell us what he's actually saying. The poor interpreter, of course, yeah, we know that translator is not quite the right word for this process of localization, so it's better to call her an interpreter. There we go. It's back to 2-2. The fourth needle's been pulled by one with a good heart, presumably, unlocking more powerful Psi, sending Phrygia to the other side of the Veil. We have another to go to in the mountains, so that's where we next can go. There's one in the ocean, there's one in the dragon's head. So there's 3 needles remaining. We get a memento, and those will revive any fallen party member if they're holding on to them. So let's see where we're going first. Back through Saturn Valley, of course. We have a coffee break. It's pretty cool. So coffee break combined with hot springs, I mean, just all of the best relaxing stuff, the best motivating stuff. A message from our fearless developer Itoi to tell us about growth, gaining strength. And we've talked before about how this is central really to the message of a lot of these old RPGs. The kind of growth that we undergo playing these games is relatively literal in terms of the player character. The playable character gets stronger in very measurable and obvious ways. But what we're supposed to take from this, I think, is a much more internal sort of growth. Are we the sort of person who can overcome challenges, can not give up when we're beaten, but get back up and try again, can remember and pursue a purpose that seems distant? And by going through these incremental steps, these steps of going from place to place and seeing and doing what we need to do, we can become strong and overcome our fears, make great friends along the way, and earn the thanks of those people that we meet. Again, this is deep in the DNA of these games, this kind of structure to what we're up to. There is a powerful message there of hope, resilience. I can't say freedom exactly because we're pretty much on a path, but within the fated structure of the game, we at least have the choice of how we deal with difficulty, as I say. And this is represented by recovering the courage badge here, which was given to us by Flint, our father, recovering its true nature. The Saturn is going to polish up that courage badge. We're going to see its true form shortly. So let's see where we go next. We're going to explore a bit, again, learn some spells, gain some levels. Head down. Oh yeah, we're down underwater. That's the next one we'll do. Okay, cool. And by going under the ocean, we eventually are going to come to an island. A very, very strange portion of the game here where, very much like a Moonside section of an earlier game, the reality of the world is in some way distorted. And this becomes highly psychological. Everyone we see appears to be people that we know, and they're saying these horrible things to try to discourage our party. Really, really messed up, frightening part of the game here. They turn out to be enemies, of course. And Mixolydia is going to take care of this hallucination for us by whacking us on the head with a fan. Whap. Paper fan. There we go. Now we can see her true form and the true form of this island. Ocho gives us all our items back. That's the octopus, of course. And the mole cricket allows us to buy up anything that we might need to get prepared here, because we know there's a big boss fight on the way. Let's zip along. Up to the peak of this island mountain. Fighting a bunch of wind-style enemies. This is kind of our water and wind section of the elements here. We're about to learn another spell, so we'll do that before we fight the boss. Okay, the Barrier Trio, a legendary foe. Barrier Man, Barrier Gal, Barrier Dude. Again, this concept of gender non-conformity. They take different positions, which changes their strengths and weaknesses, plays on that idea of the elements. Yep, they strike a barrier pose. So they have a elemental weakness. It's just a matter of figuring out what it is, and it will change throughout the battle. By doing that, you can break their positions, again, for a overpowered team like this, relatively harmless, but in the context of the game, really a fun battle. One of my favorites because they just are so funny. Um, Here come the pig masks. And here comes their commander. Now, what's about to happen is a confrontation between the twins, and it's really no comparison who's the stronger right now. So for all our pep talks, we are wiped out in one blow by the masked man, who proceeds to pull the needle after we've taken care of the barrier trio. Sadly, we are down by one. So we're told to go and find the next Magypsy up in the mountains behind Tasmili. Let's do it. Mapson will show us the way. And at the top of the mountain, we come to a temple overgrown and inaccessible. This time, the masked man is able to strike again with lightning, but the Franklin badge reflects the lightning right back at him. So thanks to Mr. Saturn and the Franklin badge, another item we should remember from this game series, we're able to take on the masked man mano a mano, hand to hand. So, similar strategy as before. He can deal a lot of damage because he takes a lot of attacks each turn. But we'll eventually prevail. We'll pull that needle. And it's tied up with the final needle to determine the fate of the world. Suddenly, a stretch limo shows up, somehow, on top of the mountain, inviting us to New Pork City. So you'll see, we just did a good third of this game. I mean, maybe not quite a third. Let's call it a quarter. But I think we'll just pause it there for now, because this is going to mark the transition point to the final chapter of the game. We're quite close to the end of this game. I know we've taken a little bit longer on it than I initially planned on doing. And for anyone still playing along, if you're ahead, behind, that's no worries. Just, let's see. The next session, I think, we'll be able to pretty much wrap up the rest of Mother 3. And after that, we'll take maybe a day to do some general orienting of what's coming up the rest of this year. But if you might want to start playing Undertale or replaying Undertale, that is where we're going to spend a good bit of time. And that one, instead of zipping through and skipping along and all this, that one I'm planning to simply just play. I'm going to figure out my setup here a little bit, but because it's a game that's on the computer, I think it's one that I can actually stream myself playing through. I'm going to check that that's okay. If it doesn't work, I'll just find another playthrough like this, but we'll go a little bit more slowly again and just take our time with it. The theme of the past year has been Middle Earth to EarthBound, trying to see those connections between Tolkien and the video game RPGs, especially the Japanese RPGs that I grew up playing. I think those are pretty clear and distinct. At this point, we've kind of done that, and so I want to move us into another, maybe a slightly different take on this same kind of material in the world of Undertale and Deltarune. So we're almost there. If you're still playing Mother 3, you've got about, looks like by this player's timeline, 2 or 3 hours to go. Pretty doable in a couple of weeks, I would think. We'll see you for the first Monday in February to wrap up Mother 3. And till then, I hope you have a great rest of your January. Looking forward to starting Undertale with you in mid-February. All right. There's nobody else here in the chat, I think, so we'll call it a night. Thanks again for joining in.